Welcome to Balanced Life with Debbie Carlin Boyle. Conversations connecting to a healthier you. The show that gives you all the latest and greatest health and wellness information to inspire you to live a life of balance and joy. Debbie Carlin Boyle is a health and nutrition coach, personal trainer, and fitness instructor who helps her clients live in balance with everything that feeds us, in addition to the food on our plate. Please welcome your host, Debbie Carlin Boyle.
Hello. Welcome. Good afternoon. It's Tuesday afternoon and it's summer, and here I am back in the studio. I welcome you to my show. This is Balanced Life with me, your host, Debbie Carlin Boyle. I am conversations that connect to a healthier you. I have a lot of those conversations on my YouTube channel, and I'm inviting you to go to my YouTube channel, subscribe, it's free, and you can see probably about 50 conversations that I've had in the last year and a half, and they're all about having a healthier life. It's longevity with quality conversations, really good stuff. So I invite you to check out the YouTube channel. I also want to let you know, as always, I want to get you involved in the conversation today. So I'm a live call-in show, and if you're watching live, please join us with a question or a comment. And I have such a distinguished guest today that it's a great opportunity for free to ask a question. So the number here, take this down, is 323-524-2599. So call us and become of this really, really good discussion that we're going to have today. I also want to let you know that I am running a contest of all things, and it has to do with my YouTube channel. So what you need to do, again, is go to Balanced Life with Debbie Carlin Boyle /YouTube, and it will take you to my YouTube channel where all my shows live, where you can subscribe. And just email me after you do that at debboyle, DEBBOYLE at mac.com. Let me know that you subscribed. You're in to be entered into the contest. The contest is free health coaching and personal training via Zoom sessions with me, and they're worth $2,000. So you want to be part of that contest. I'm going to have it live here on the show in the beginning of September. So go ahead and subscribe so we can get a winner going. All right, we're going to get on with the show. I'm glad you're joining us today. I have one of my favorite people on the show with us today, and he is here to discuss how change and peace of mind are very compatible and doable for anyone, regardless of life circumstances. Dr. Stephan Poulter is a clinical psychologist and practiced for over 30 years, and the author of 7 books, including his latest, Shame Factor, all about healing your deepest fears to set yourself free. Fear is a big topic of conversation these days, given our current circumstances. How do we navigate the unknown? How do we manage our anxiety? How do we overcome all the changes in our life right now? So let's get all these answers to these questions and more, and hopefully you have some too, from the master himself as we welcome my friend, Dr. Stephan Poulter, to the show.
Thank you.
Hello, Stephan.
Thank you, Debbie.
Stephan.
Thank you. Yes.
We got to make sure we get that in there. Spelling's important.
Yeah. Stephan. No, it's Stephan.
Yes. We're clear about that since your name is up on the screen and people are going to want to think that it's Stephan, especially if they call in. We want them to say it correctly.
Thank you. I'd go to the dentist and the receptionist would come, is Stephan here? I would never answer.
Yeah.
I'd wait till she said Stephan, then I'd go, okay, I'm here.
Yeah.
Debbie, listen, we're all masters, the old saying goes, is the guru said, we're all masters of our own destiny. And what does that mean? I call it the relaxation factor. And there's a lot of talk about that right now. What is relaxation? Mindfulness, hypnosis, guided imagery, meditation. What is all that whole package?
Yeah. It's a very broad term.
And
it can
it's very misleading.
Be many things.
Many things. But at the end of the day, the bottom line, the numerator can always be different, but the denominator underneath, it's the ability to put our engine in neutral.
Oh, interesting. I've said this before. You use analogies throughout your practice.
I know.
Well,
It's the way I think.
So, okay,
Yeah.
so putting our engine in neutral is going to be sort of our heading today, our topic of discussion, because we're talking about the understanding and the psychology behind relaxation and how it affects personal change and how we can use it to our advantage for personal change, which we're all going through personal and physical change right now, I think.
Absolutely.
Mental.
Change is a constant. Impermanence is a constant. So the ability to embrace relaxation and change, they can blend together. They don't have to be oil and water, or they don't mix.
Right.
And a lot of that I see in my practice these days over the last, particularly the last 6 months. But, over the years, I find that many people, they don't think they know how to relax. Like, he can, she can, but I can't. We all can. It's within our reach to put our engine in neutral.
Okay, so before we dig in deep and before we go into it, because we
Yes.
are going to go into it, first off, I want to say thank you for coming back. This is your 7th appearance on my show. And all of the other 6 ones, were for a book that you had written. And you still have a book that's recently been out within the last year. So that, shame
Thank
factor
you.
that we
Yes.
talked about, that's still up for grabs, as well as all your other books, which, we can talk about how people can access them and get them, because they are help books. I mean, they're not just self-help books. They're books to help you, not just you, but people around you, and just navigate life's all of these things that you've written about. Yep, exactly. And for those who haven't listened to the past shows, you're going to give us a quick background. And we've done this. This will be the 7th time. And then we're going to go right into it, okay? So I want you to just say, because I love your background. I love your story. Your story gives you, you have credibility no matter what.
Thank you, Debbie.
But it humanizes the person you are and the reason why you do what you do and how come you're helping so many people. So a little bit about your background. I know you grew up out here with me.
Yes.
We didn't grow up far from each other.
Right in the greater Los Angeles Valley.
Yeah, San
called
Fernando
Valley, or San Gabriel.
Yes.
I grew up in La Crescenta, which is north of here. Mm-hmm. And I feel like I've had many lives in this one lifetime. Worked for a police department, no names mentioned.
Yes.
For 8 years, and that really grew me up.
You did, and it got you to where you sit today, too,
Correct.
right?
And I know there's a lot of things going on right now about police and
Yeah.
how to manage all that. And
Yeah.
where I sit with it, I left the police department 2 months before the Rodney King incident.
Okay.
And
That was 1992? Two.
92,
Okay.
correct.
Yeah.
There's a lot, as is all things, there's drops of oil in the ocean. It does make the ocean awful.
Right.
And there's a lot of people out there trying to help make this world a better place. And the police department's working on getting reorganized, working together, and trying to be more effective.
Right.
Across the board.
Right.
So that's where I come in on it. But being a police officer for years, I learned seeing people at their worst. It was always interesting. We'd come to something, whether it be a first day on the job, someone got shot in the eye. And I remember thinking, so we leave, who's going to clean this mess up?
Right. And you're not physically talking about the mess of what's on the floor. You're talking about the person
and the
who
kids,
did the shooting and the people who saw it. And
right. Who's going to clean this up?
Yeah.
Someone may come with us and go to jail, but what about the other family members? And I could never shake that off. I could never shake it off. And they just kept saying to me, Poulter, you should be a social worker. I'm like, inside, yeah, I really should be.
Yeah.
And it just kept pushing me. But I needed that to do this.
Yes. And that's sort of the kickstart to this. Yes.
I went to seminary, learned a lot about kind of the bigger picture in life, how psychology, astrology, spirituality, it's all interwoven. It's all connected. Mm-hmm. And I'm here today. And the last book was on the shame factor. And before that, Our Successful Failure, about these processes that move us forward, all about our relationship with ourselves. You're a physical trainer. You talk about diet, exercise, nutrition, the whole water. Last show's on water. It's huge. So today, Debbie, we're going to really get into the psychology of change and relaxation, how it's the same coin but different sides.
Right. And how one feeds
other.
off the other. Yeah,
Right.
exactly. That's what I was just going to
Yeah,
say.
exactly. One feeds off the other.
So let's say, okay, so let's put it in this context, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to ask you questions for my own personal needs, and you're going to answer for me, but everybody's going to benefit from these answers because I would assume that everybody sort of has these same questions right now or seeking these answers with the change that we're going through, how to stay relaxed, how to overcome fears, how to chase away anxiety and stay healthy, along the way. So tell me, why is embracing change for me so important right now?
You can embrace it or resist it. That's the fork in the road we all face. And it's like psychologists, people come in, they want to feel better. And whether they see a therapist or a life coach, or they come and see you, people want to feel better. And resisting change is like trying to hold your breath. You're eventually going to breathe. You're going to give in.
Or the opposite's going to
You're
happen.
gonna faint.
Right, exactly.
And then you breathe automatically, autonomically. But embracing, accepting change just moved you 50% further down the road.
Okay.
Because
of course,
one of the things I talk about is recovery time. The fact that you get upset, you lose your cool, we feel overwhelmed, that's normal. That's going to happen. But it doesn't need to go on for days, weeks, months, or years. It can go on for 30 seconds.
Right.
And that's the reason why change and relaxation
mesh.
Exactly.
And they need to work
together
and
the
in
first
harmony.
And Debbie, what you just said, if that's all we talk about today, is change is a constant. And people that resist it, psychosomatic illnesses,
they're unhappy. So they're unhappy, which puts them into a depression, which puts them on medication, which in turn just put them down an unhealthy road. And it just feeds off itself down to...
It deteriorates the quality of their life.
Right.
Their relationships.
It's counterproductive
Exactly.
to anything that you want to do moving forward.
Right.
So embracing change is the most important thing. And obviously, change is huge right now with everything that's gone on in the last 5.5 months.
Absolutely.
So we're trying to move down this road. So we have to manage our anxiety over the change. And we need to do things today that are going to ultimately affect our future. How do we manage our anxiety?
Well,
I want to do first person. How do I manage the anxiety? Because I'm not the only anxious person out there. I have my book club tonight, and one of the discussions we have when we have this book club is everybody, something new. You watch too much of the news, and your anxiety level goes up. You kind of got to shut that off. And so everybody has a different way. Some of my girlfriends are still staying home 100% of the time. They're not doing outdoor dining. They're not, the only thing they're doing is the necessities and back to the house. Other ones are very sort of social, but still keeping their distance. I have to say I'm somewhere in the middle of that. There's a lot of anxiety over, am I doing the right thing on what I'm choosing to do right now with all the change that's been around us?
Absolutely. One thing I want to go over is I ask people all the time, imagine having your equilibrium. I'm going to come back to your question, but we're going to go. We're going to drive. We're going to fly to Hawaii metaphorically and come back. Okay?
Here we go. One of your metaphors. Yeah, I love them.
Yeah, we're going to take a little trip.
That's how I got through. That's how I got through a lot of my therapy with Stephen, I have to say. I could visualize.
You did it. There's volumes and volumes of research on the benefits of relaxation. And as I was saying earlier, it could be mindfulness, self-hypnosis, yoga, kundalini, all of it. It's all roads lead to Rome. And the road you're on is, the question you have to ask yourself is, what causes you to freak out? Everyone's got their own sensitivity.
Right.
And many people right now during this crisis come out and say, I've had much harder times. My kids died,
I've lost my husband.
Right.
I've lost
my
money.
family got killed on an airplane.
Yeah, exactly.
And they're like, I have a lot of empathy for people right now, but are you kidding me? Come on. You're like, they're looking at like, come on, you guys, this isn't that bad. Because part of relaxation is the ability to go inside. Because there's a hurricane outside. You and I don't need to go out in that hurricane.
Right.
And the hurricanes of life will always come and go.
Right.
And it's not the end of the world.
Choice we make.
Right. And part of relaxation is having kind of like that pause between thoughts. It's that pause. 1, 2, 3,
Okay.
4. It's the ability to pause.
And not be impulsive.
Correct. Which is reaction versus responding. And relaxation is all about how do you respond in this situation.
Right.
And not the knee-jerk response.
So are bipolar people, do you think they're less likely to be able to embrace relaxation because they don't respond, they react? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's okay. Debbie, we just went to Canada. Okay, so let's come back to North America. Okay, we just went to Canada.
It's interesting because there are people that are bipolar in my life,
Right.
and they're
Bipolar-
very impulsive. So they have a hard time relaxing.
It has to do with their chemicals.
Okay.
They could be very aroused and nothing could be going on, and they could be, or they could be very calm, and
Everything
a lot's
around
going
them is
right.
going. Okay.
It has to do with our chemistry.
Okay.
Bipolar, depressed, anxious. The whole thing is you can only feel one emotion at a time. I said this before we started.
And I said, really?
Yeah.
I don't believe that because you can be angry and frustrated at the same time. You can be sad and frustrated. And what did you answer to me? What did you say?
Because there's one predominant emotion.
Right.
It's
That overtakes.
all leads down to maybe frustration is fear. Fear I don't have control. Fear that this isn't working out the way I want.
Isn't fear drive most things?
Or it's love. Love is acceptance. When we accept stuff, those in the East for 10,000 years, 10 million years, they're saying there's two primary human emotions, fear and love.
Right. We've
And in
talked about
psychology, you either pick to be more accepting or more fearful. Relaxation is we're bumping on the acceptance side.
this. Okay.
And acceptance doesn't mean we're happy. It just means I'm going with the river. You can either go with the river or try to push the river.
Right. That's resistance.
Right. And resistance over time, that's how I see so many men in their 50s look like they're 70 because they've been resisting life. They've been resisting change, resisting an addiction, or dealing with their childhood trauma. That's why I wrote The Shame Factor.
Because they're stuck back there. On
Correct, but they're living in the present.
Right.
And that goes back to the point, you can only feel one emotion at a time. That's why relaxation is so powerful. Now, I've had times this year where I've had people scream at me, come in my office and go, it's the end of the world. And they're like,
Since the pandemic,
yeah,
you're talking
and they're
about.
yelling, they're throwing F-bombs at me like, I'm ducking out of the way. And I go,
Yeah, like
no.
it's your fault.
Right, and I look and I go, no, it's the end of your world, not mine.
Yeah, because you're the keeper of you.
Right, but I'm not in your storm.
Yeah.
You have control to get out of your own storm. And I had one client was walking her dog, not paying attention. The leash got wrapped around her finger. She was so freaked out, it sliced off the end of her finger.
Oh, gosh.
And she comes in, dropping F-bombs. I'm like, oh, good gracious. I had no idea that she had such a sailor's mouth. But and I said, it's not the end of the world. It's the end of the way you're going to relate to life that way.
Yeah.
Out of fear. And so she's going over this side more. Like, okay, it doesn't take away the struggles, but it sure makes it a lot easier to walk uphill versus downhill.
Right. I was going to say, you're walking her through the
so
struggle.
This idea, people talk about the power now, Eckhart Tolle, Buddha, all of them have said it. Gandhi, Martin Luther King Jr., the ability to be present is the ability to change your life.
Right.
You can't change it thinking about the future or about your past.
Right. It's those stories we get stuck into
Well, that's a good point.
that take us
Out.
the what ifs. I mean, I talked to Della and I had this conversation last week on my show, and it comes up a lot because I have a lot of practitioners that talk about living in the now. And when we get stuck in that mantra of the what ifs, and I'm not enough of, so I can't possibly, or you get stuck in the I can't, that's a story. That's what we're making up in our heads.
And that story isn't in the moment.
Right. It's the past or the future.
As simple as it sounds. In Buddhism, they say, someone asked Buddha once, Master, when have I reached mastery? The day you stop wondering where it is. Because you're in it. Mm-hmm. You're in it.
Makes sense.
Right. And psychology, whether it be psychoanalysis, psychodynamic, which is like what you and I are doing, like hitting the ball back and forth.
Right.
Or all the other different modalities, or didactic, meaning talking, or behavioral. It's all about the ability to stay present, Debbie. And by staying present, you can breathe.
Right.
Staying present, you can breathe.
Which in turn
This is you.
manages your fear and gives you control.
Right.
Really, because we're talking about taking control of the moment, of you, and the here and the now.
So I have a lot of people who have been furloughed, job,
I'm one of them.
I
know that.
I know that. And I have had a lot of clients, and how they're managing it, much to their surprise, is they're good today. That doesn't mean they're putting their head in the sand.
No.
But they're not running out their head cut off.
I mean, yes, we still have obligations and things we
Responsibilities.
have to do, but we're looking at the here and the now.
How-
I learned this going back personal. I learned this because when my life I thought was ending, when my marriage of 35 years ended, because I was broke. And
Yes.
as far as I knew, I couldn't even see today because I was so fearful of tomorrow and the next day and what's 10 years going to look like. And what I couldn't picture, all I knew was what it felt like in that moment, and that feeling. I was sinking and I was drowning, and that's where I felt like I was going to keep going. And that's, needless to say, I sought you out to help me get out of the quicksand. But it just is, sometimes we get paralyzed. And I have to say, and I was talking about this when I came into the studio, I have to say, when this pandemic first hit, I think we were a nation of paralyzed people. I think we were all kind of frozen for the moment on the what just happened. What do we deal? Because we're dealing with the unknown, dealing with the fear of the unknown, the images that we were seeing coming out of Europe and coming out of Asia, and not knowing how it was going to play out here in America or across the world for that matter. What are we? I mean, we were, and fear will paralyze you where you're not living in the now.
So what you just said, what fear produces is adrenaline. Mm-hmm. And when you're pumped full of
cortisol
adrenaline,
levels go.
right?
Yeah.
And Debbie, I don't know if it was
Fight
a
or
nation,
flight.
I don't know if it was a nation full of people that were scared versus it was a gut check, because people that weren't living in the moment got knocked into the moment.
That's yeah.
I mean, they got a backhand knocked into the
It's
moment.
like snap out of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Snap
I
out
agree
of it.
with you. I agree with you.
And it's the 80-20 rule. 80% weren't, 20% were. Mm-hmm. And those of us that weren't, myself included at times, whoa, okay, we're here.
Yeah.
But once you're here, that's where the gold is. And Debbie, in a minute or so, I want to talk about how to do that, whether you're sitting at your desk, driving a car, or your partner's looking at you like you have three heads, or your kids are yelling at you.
So you can take a moment and step
Yep.
away and create some relaxation. And we're not necessarily talking about meditation.
No, we're talking about bringing it back to neutral.
Yeah.
I don't need to be in seventh gear going 120.
Right.
I do much better if I'm in neutral,
Yeah.
because I make better decisions when I'm in the moment.
Yeah.
Like, you can't find your car keys, and the whole time they're on the table.
Yeah.
Because when we're freaked out, we can't see stuff.
Yeah.
Or the other one I always love, your sunglasses are on the top of your head and you forgot where you put them.
All the time.
That's another good one.
Yeah.
But these are all symptoms that we're not in the moment.
Right.
And I don't want to.
But it's because we're, and that's one of the things pandemic did was it slowed us down to help us think better and not be in such a rush and
Right.
do forgetful things. But we all do that, We all get into a panic mode when we're moving around too quick, and we're all.
See, that's about control, Debbie. You get away from control. Everybody wants control, all right? And the joke
over
is,
themselves and others, or just
don't even go in your head.
okay.
When I say that, people want control. They want to know this illusion. We've got all this control. And psychologically and spiritually speaking, the best control you have is to stop here.
okay.
Because when you stop yourself, that's the beginning and the extent of your control.
Okay.
in a great way. And people think, oh, that's not enough. Oh, it really is enough. Because when you're present, it's amazing what you can see or do.
Right.
And that's what I've been doing, particularly the last 6 months. I've probably done more guided imagery, relaxation stuff in the last 6 months than I have in the last 10 years.
Because it's more needed now.
Probably about 20
Yeah.
times a week.
Yeah. Good.
Over the phone, done it on
Well,
Zoom.
you have an audio series out right now, right? Called the
Relaxation Factor.
Yeah, the
It's
Relaxation
on
Factor.
Apple. Right. And what I want to do right now is just walk through for a minute
Okay.
how to do this. Okay, everyone says, how do you relax? Okay, I agree with you. We all agree.
Mm-hmm.
We all agree. But let's just take a minute and pause. You can hear us. It starts with taking a few deep breaths. Mm-hmm. Debbie, I want you to do it with me.
Okay.
Take 2 or 3 very deep and relaxing breaths.
Okay.
And with each breath, you're just thinking about your breathing. And that itself has you all here at the studio. And then, as you're becoming very calm and slowing down, just imagine it's like you're in one of your favorite places in nature. It could be the beach, the mountains, wherever. And you're there, and you're standing there. You see the bright, beautiful blue sky, the white, puffy clouds. It's gorgeous. And you feel it. You can feel it. You can feel the warm breeze or the cool breeze. It's gorgeous. It'd be a pasture in the mountains, rolling hills. For me, it's always the beach. You see the palm trees, the white, powdery sand, the waves. And then I always tell people, what's in your backpack? What
Garbage.
bricks? What brick? And I always call them bricks. And what do you have written on the bricks? For me, it may be finances. Guys get into that all the time. I understand. Not enough finance, or not enough money. Or, oh my God, what about this or that? And I'd say, imagine yourself taking off your backpack and putting it down in the sand. And then you go for a walk along the beach. And you can do this while you're in a meeting. Just kind of see yourself sitting on a beach chair, looking out, and you see a screen, all these different facets of your life, and you can click on one. And you're watching yourself, but you're watching it third person. And again, you can't do that and not be in the moment. Mm-hmm. You can't observe yourself unless you're in the moment.
Right.
And stop and think about that. I hear people say all the time in an argument, like, I heard myself saying what I shouldn't have said. I go, you're in the moment. Now you just got to put it in neutral.
Right.
And you see yourself, it may be a very stressful task, but you're watching yourself calmly. Like those beach chairs with the umbrella. That's what I see every time.
Yeah. That's my picture. I have a picture just like that. I took myself in Tulum, Mexico. And when I try to relax or do any kind of imagery work that you're talking about, I put myself right back in that picture. It's actually my screensaver on my phone. See it? It's
Love
my
it.
screensaver.
Love it.
It's
So
similar.
Debbie, once you're there, whatever's bothering you, watch the movie. You can watch your own movie. That in itself pulls you back.
It's almost like you pull yourself out and you pull yourself up as a
Yep.
fly on the wall and stand
Hey.
back and see the behavior and see the emotion.
And that's what Einstein said. You can't solve the problem on the same level it was created. So when you take your step back, you've gone to a better perspective to see what's going on.
I get that. I get that from all my producing years.
Yes.
I get that.
And that perspective is relaxation. That's hypnosis, that's yoga, that's meditation. It's all of it. Mm-hmm. You know, people call it's like coffee. There's 25 different ways to have coffee, but it's still coffee. Okay.
In the end.
You know?
Yeah.
Forgive my metaphors today, but it's the truth. It's when you get your perspective, you're there.
You can put yourself in
I always
pause.
say, I know when I've hit pay dirt, and I know when I haven't. And I meditated this morning, or relaxed this morning. I thought, okay, I'm there.
Yeah.
Now, throughout the day, I may lose my perspective, but I just kind of think about it. You want to stay there.
Right. Yeah, because what I was saying earlier, I mean, this is a great technique, but what I was saying earlier, we because we don't live in the moment and because we lose our keys because we're not in the moment, we're thinking about what we're, being on the road, getting into traffic, being late for the meeting. Well, how's the meeting going to play out? How is what's the outcome going to be? Is my pitch going to go well? Is this whatever the circumstances may be? If you're a teacher, what are going to be my obstacles in the classroom today? And then all of a sudden you look down and you can't find the sunglasses on your head because you're thinking ahead. That is so prevalent in our lives, and part of this lockdown with the pandemic has brought that back to reality for us, like you said.
It's a
big slap.
backhand.
Yeah, I agree.
There's a thing called the monkey mind. I always like the pin, like it's like a pinball. It's bouncing off, and you shoot it. Our mind goes back and forth, and like the monkey brain jumps from tree to tree, tangential thinking. But when you get your perspective back, I'm going to summarize all this. When you get your perspective back, you're gold.
Yeah,
You're gold. And sometimes I have clients that will really start going after me. Not really going after me. They're going after the
no, they're just
frustration.
going after
I just
whatever
happen to
they're
be-
there for.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I happen to be like the blank screen,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, okay, it's gonna be all right. And I say, do your thumb with your index finger together. It's a reminder. Wherever it's kind of like lock in.
I think you've done that with me
Yep,
before.
lock in your favorite place.
Okay.
Now, I had a kid say this to me once. I go, what's your favorite place? My bedroom. Blackout blinds, laying on the bed with a fan on.
So there you go.
I go, Thomas, do it.
Lock it in.
And he would get at school, like he had to take a test. He'd see himself laying on his bed, and he could see the answers to the test. There's no wrong place to relax.
No
wrong place.
Oh, the only right place is the place that's right
pick.
for you.
But
Yeah.
the body-mind connection, this works. I've done this so many times driving. I'm late for something. Take a deep breath. Kind of do this.
Taking
okay.
a breath is a
Physiology.
physiology aspect to it. Slows your heart rate down.
Right.
When your heart rate's down, you're not into the panic mode. You're not going to
And if
need
you're-
a paper bag to breathe.
And if I
you know?
remember to do this, we're all better.
Yeah.
Like I come home on the way home from work. Okay, got the dogs in the car, whatever.
Yeah.
Got full house. Okay, let's just take a deep breath there. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's take care of business.
And just each moment we can't predict. Even
Right.
we live in that moment. I treat my show that way. Sometimes I over prep my show because I want to be very, succinct and very. And then I realize, the organic conversation. I know the topic. I know the person. I know their background. I did all that research. I did all the prep. I don't have to overthink this. Live in the moment of this show, and then the authenticity of that is what's really going to help somebody.
Right. And the other question, to your point, Debbie, about being authentic, ask yourself this question: what is it that knocks you off your balance? We all know it,
Oh, we all have triggers.
right? But knowing what your triggers are and really owning it.
Is there a way you can, speaking about going off topic for a second, but is there a way that you can keep from even getting your triggers triggered or,
Yes.
or before they get, certain people in our lives will trigger something just by looking at them? I mean, how do you,
Okay,
if
the great behavioral psychologist, Albert Ellis, back after World War II, he would ask him, how do I not hate these people from World War II that did this to our community? And he said, if you're staying present, you're not in World War II.
Okay, so somebody that I know is going to trigger me means I'm living in the past.
Correct.
And I got to be present.
Yep.
Makes sense.
That's how cognitive behavioral therapy started. Mm-hmm. He used to do these things in New York City in the 50s when it was not popular at all. And he would say, if you're here right now, you're not thinking about 10 years ago in Germany.
Right.
And people were like, whoa. He was right.
Yeah. Because that just plays out in negative ways inside you if you keep
It eats
that.
you up.
Yeah.
It cannibalizes you.
That's
And I
right.
hate to use that word.
No, but it does. It eats you up from the inside out.
In cognitive behavioral therapy, all these different names for therapy all drive you back to the relationship with you. And relaxation gets you back to you.
Right.
Now, a lot of people may do it with a glass of wine, cocktails, golf.
As long as you don't
Fair enough.
don't
But at
become
the-
addicted to something.
But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
you want it to be yours. You want it to be you.
Right.
Do it anywhere, anytime, any place.
Right.
It's in you.
You want
Right.
that control,
That level of control.
that level of control
Of you.
by you living in that moment. And I think with all of this, it's such a snowball effect. Because it's really is part of self-care, which is what I'm all about with my clients. And
Yes.
what I talk about is a little more tangible in terms of, okay, here are, I give them tools and tasks and things they do to make themselves feel better. But this is so important because none of what I give them will really make a huge difference if they can't live in the now and they're worried about what was or what is.
Right.
And so this is so pivotal to overall health. It's unreal,
Beyond. The other piece of this, to that point, Debbie, is living in the moment. It doesn't take away heartbreak. It just helps you not to be controlled by it.
Okay, right. So let's talk about that. And then I want to, let's see, what do we have? So we're still somewhat good, but we on time.
Yeah.
But I also want to talk about like the with what we're all living in now with this sort of fear of the unknown and impending doom more globally about how to manage that. But let's talk about heartbreak. And I'm going to go from me in the first person again, because so here I was moving along. It's been almost, it's been 9 years since my breakup. Of a 35-year relationship. And I was dating. I had a few relationships, some of who you've met,
Yes.
and I wasn't dating going into the lockdown. So now there's a whole group of people out there, including my younger daughter in her 30s, and here I am in my 60s, how do you date? This is a real fear. Not if we didn't have it bad enough that, we weren't with a significant other and we didn't have the connection. I mean, I physically haven't hugged or touched anybody except for my pregnant daughter's tummy since this whole thing started back in March. Because I'm not touching people, as you know, and I always give you big hugs, and we're not doing that right now. So how do I keep moving forward with a positive outlook, and how do I pursue a romantic relationship when nobody's touching each other right now? How do you date? How does this happen?
Okay, this is a loaded question.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, okay, we got 25 different ways to go, so let's go north.
Okay. That's always good to go up.
Let's go forth. Debbie, relationships all start and finish with us. How we feel about ourselves goes a long ways.
Which we were just talking about. Yeah.
So I've had a number of clients go on Zoom dates during this time. As one of my clients told me, it's terrible when you get stood up on a Zoom date because where are they going? They're in the other room.
They can't make an excuse.
Yeah, they couldn't make it into the living room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I go, dude, just hang in there, man. It's going to get better.
Yeah.
I think right now it's dealing with the belief there's not enough, that you're not going to get it. Because when we come from deprivation, it just exasperates the situation.
Right.
Now, I've had some clients meet on Zoom, go on some dates.
Yeah.
And
socially distant
navigate.
Dates. Yeah.
And
I've known of one couple that met on Zoom, online, met on Zoom, then took it to the next step and met each other physically and social distance, and then they both went and got tested.
Yep.
Realized they were fine, and now they're together.
Right.
And they're able to be together.
People can date during this time and doing what that couple did. That's been my professional, guidance to people. Do it that way.
Right.
But relationships aren't going away.
No. They're the key to everything in life.
Right. With ourselves, with others.
And then beyond.
Right.
Yeah.
And people, during this time, there's not as many distractions. Okay? We just don't have them. And we may lose college football this fall.
I know. It's a big topic of conversation right
True.
now, isn't it? I really feel for you. I know you're
we love college football. I feel
and a huge Dodger fan, which
Yes.
is happening in a very strange way. But
it doesn't take away your potential of a relationship. That's what I want to say to you, Debbie. It can happen. But we have to put ourselves out there, whether it be on
Zoom or social distance or
all
what,
that.
Yeah.
It's possible. It takes a little more work. And one of my clients says the screening is much more effective because you got to talk. You
Yeah.
got to talk to the person. You see them in real time.
Yeah.
And you can't just meet up and have a couple drinks and
Yeah.
not really
There's
talk.
no going inside a bar right now. I mean, there
No.
are outdoor patio
Correct.
situations. Yeah.
Around the country, dating isn't dead.
No.
Right? And the ability to have those relationships is still there. But it takes a lot more focus.
Right. And of course, there is the fear of getting sick and being out and about with people. So it's, which gets me to the impending feeling of doom. Yeah.
And doom isn't our friend.
No. It's again, not us living in the moment.
Correct. I mean,
and taking in too much of this
Right.
newsreel stuff.
The newsreel stuff, I know that, I'm going to say this, I'm not trying to be naive, and I'm not, but I think the intention of the news media is to be helpful.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, all the hysteria, it triggers people. It's just part of the circus. Impending doom that's where shame comes in. Shame is, I'm bad, something bad needs to happen to me. It's like
So we feel doom and gloom based on our past,
on our
shame.
Correct.
Okay.
And I say right now, Debbie, one of our jobs is to weed our garden. And
Clean it up.
relaxation allows us to stay there and weed our garden emotionally, mentally, psychologically. And I've had to deal with shame. Writing the book in the last couple of years, oh, good God, I was like wiped out.
You opened a door, huh?
You know,
Good, because that
laid me out. You can't write a book on shame and not feel it.
Well, I was going to say how to be credible, and I think we all live with some
degree of it.
percent of shame that, and not to say that we'll ever get rid of it 100%. And if you think
It's
you're
a
rid of it,
healing.
another thing could come along that could cause it. But at least you doing the research took out lots of steps to help other people by you writing the book.
Right, and to help people see that shame is, by about age 5, 6, or 7, we either feel competent or defective.
And that's
competent or defective. And that's the fork in the road. And so with this crisis going on, a lot of that stuff got wiped away, where I can't hide in my job, sports, whatever. I have to deal with the fact that maybe all that was to cover up, at some level I feel very defective, or I'm not good enough. Impending doom is I'm going to be outed.
Yeah, and you're right. People are hiding. We're hiding behind so many things.
Right. That leads into, and I talk about in the book, chapter 8, about the imposter syndrome.
Right.
And all this runs contrary to relaxation. And the imposter
Yeah. Well, it's almost like running away from it. It's hiding.
Yeah, not running away. It's burying it.
Burying.
It's just
Okay.
trying to bury it in the backyard.
Makes sense.
And after a while, I got to go get it out because it's not going away.
Right.
It's going to stay right where I left it, inside of me.
Right. And that,
not going
again,
away.
will eat you up from the inside out.
Correct.
Shame
Yep.
will do that. Yeah, it's interesting how I didn't think of it in terms of the pandemic not letting people hide behind things anymore.
That gig's up.
Yeah. It opened up. I mean,
Yep.
it just opened up this Pandora's box that says, okay, guess what? You've got to deal with this stuff now.
In soulfulness, doesn't matter what you believe in or not believe in, soulfulness is our ability to connect to all the parts of us.
Right.
Emotionally, mentally, psychologically, in the moment.
Right.
And shame can't be in the moment. Shame's either in our past or in our future.
So we either visualize it for the future, or we sort of try to we create it for the future, or we're living from our past and it manifests. It keeps
Like,
coming out in different ways.
I'm not good enough. I get an email. So a client doesn't like me, or a supervisor. Here we go. Or I'm not learning this job right.
Yeah. That's the hardest thing, too. And so with so many people out of work right now, or people taking the work that they do or their talent, and having to pivot and having to rethink new ways that go with the environment we're in right now and what we're being handled. I would guess that shame would rear its head in many of these different, I can't do that because of this, because last time I tried to do that, this happened, so.
I think the biggest virus right now is shame, not this physical virus. Because if you're feeling shame-based, you're already beat down.
which is going to keep you from moving forward and being creative enough
Right.
or to use
and healthy
what
enough emotionally, mentally, financially.
to keep moving and to
Yes.
recreate or reinvent or whatever
Yep.
it is you need to do right now to keep moving forward and stay down the. So do you think people are doing that right now in general, taking me out of the first person and more general? Do you think people have gotten more depressed and not stepped up and dealt with what they should be dealing with to actually make sure they're financially, emotionally, physically, all these
Relationally.
things? Yeah. Well, do you think it's gotten worse?
Because
Yeah.
there's the old saying, why are you making this change now? Because you have to. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like when the bills due.
Yeah.
And right now is a time when a lot of people are like, okay, I want to do this differently. My old method isn't working well.
Right.
It's just not working well. I have a dear friend, his son died a year ago. He's going through this like, I've already been to hell and back.
Yeah.
He goes, I had to deal with that. This, is not my first pick, but I'll take this any day of the week over
Right.
burying my son.
Right.
And I'm like, you're right. So it's all about perspective and the ability to stay present.
Mm-hmm.
But shame is like a forest fire. It just fuels. And
it doesn't matter what your circumstances
Correct.
are
See,
sometimes.
that's it, Debbie.
Because I think it's all relative. Somebody could be in
Mm-hmm.
living 10 people in a one-bedroom house, and another could be in a mansion
Mm-hmm.
with, just two of them. But those two people could still be going through the exact
Right.
same thing on the inside.
misery
Yeah.
doesn't know zip code.
No,
or area code or education.
or
Yeah,
square
shame.
footage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. And my dear buddy has no economic worries. But I got to tell you, though, he's feeling it.
Yeah.
He felt it last year.
Oh, I'm sure.
Big time. So shame is what bumps us out of the moment. Like people get bumped off their server or their computer gets hacked. That force that knocks you out of it, that's shame.
Yeah.
Relaxation, the ability to be present, brings you back in.
And that has to be practiced. So
Debbie, that's it. Practice.
it takes practice. And is that what your audio series does for people?
Yes.
It takes them through what we basically, the little bit that
Yep.
we did here.
Walking
so
through it.
we need to talk about how people can access that.
Well,
So they can
go to my website.
practice.
Yes.
What is your website? I think it's up on the screen, but we're also
That's it. Yeah.
a podcast, and not everybody sees us. Some people just listen. So
It's Stephan, Stephan.
yes,
Poulter.
Stephan.
Yeah,
No.
Stephan Poulter, Poulter.com.
.com.
And I also do phone stuff. I talk to a lot of people over the phone on how to do relaxation.
Yeah, because
They put on their earbuds and they lay on their bed and they go off to the ocean and we talk it through.
and they take off their backpack. I love that analogy.
Get rid of the backpack.
Rid of the backpack, each brick at a time.
let it go.
Let it go. You live in this moment. This is what you have. This is how because I told you there was a whole thing for me that wouldn't allow me to live in the moment. And all I could do was picture the future of living on a park bench. And
And guess what happened?
yeah, it
never happens.
It never happened.
Okay.
But boy, did it take me down a negative road. It aged me.
And the guru, Albert Einstein, said after World War II, he goes, if people realize that 99.9% of their impending doom thoughts have never materialized, they'd stop doing it.
Yeah.
And he was right.
Yeah, and yet
Debbie, you
that's
didn't
not
end up-
happening.
Debbie, you landed on your feet.
Yeah.
And so many of us, we think we land on our face, but we really do land on our feet.
Yeah, and it's still a roller coaster. I mean, I still think,
Yeah.
Life is a roller coaster.
Correct.
We get thrown these balls that we have to dodge. This one kind of hit us smack in the face, in terms of the pandemic. And like you said, it's how we deal with it and how we can live in the moment.
Yep.
Have the tools to do that. So again, this psychology of relaxation, which is a audio series that is it through Amazon? Can people go to Amazon or they have to go to your website?
I think they go to the website or go to, it's on Apple.
Okay. So if they go
it's a relaxation factor. And
we have it up on the screen. But
screen,
again, not everybody
self-empowerment.
sees us.
Right. But empowerment is acceptance.
Yeah,
When you and I accept something, we feel better.
of course. And great. So what we're going to do is I want people to go to Stephan's website because all of his books are on there. And you've got at your X Factor, the Father Factor, the Mother Factor, the Art of Successful Failure, Shame Factor.
Yes.
These are all
Thank you,
different.
guys. Yes.
All of these are such great books. It kind of shows you why you act the way you do and why you, when you think, I can't, there's no way out, there is a way out. Read these books or get a hold of Stephan because
there's a lot of good people out there right now doing great stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm just glad to be part of the
picture.
I'm just glad to be part of the team. Because at the end of the day, someone asked me the other day, my buddy asked me, he goes, so what's your next book on? I go, all books are on this. It's our relationship with ourselves.
Yeah.
Now, I may talk about codependency, how we placate, hoping the person likes us back. That's probably the second crisis going on right now.
Yeah.
Because you're with this person 24/7 for 6 months. Codependency gets old really quick.
I bet.
Yep.
I personally don't have that issue, but I know people that are going through that.
Yes.
So that's a good book to be written post-pandemic.
Yes,
and we're
post this.
saying post-pandemic because
And
it's
it will
going
be.
away. Yeah.
As does all things.
Yeah.
It runs its cycle.
And which gives us hope. So leave us with some final words, if you will, Stephan.
When in doubt, ask yourself, where am I? When you're panicking or feeling overwhelmed, okay, where am I? What's going on? And number 3, what am I doing? Those 3 questions. Where am I? What am I doing? What's happening? One of those 3 is going to land you back in the moment. You may have to ask all 3 a different way, but they'll get you back in the moment. And when you're in the moment, you're good.
Yeah.
It's all workable.
Love it.
It's all workable. What am I doing? Where am I going? What's happening?
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're the best.
Thank you for
Debbie.
your wisdom.
Oh, you're
so
very sweet.
lucky to have you.
Supportive.
You'll be back. He's a regular on my show because
It's a
he's my
pleasure.
guru.
Oh.
So I want to thank you. I want to thank you, my audience, and remind you that I have a contest running right now. If you go to my YouTube channel, which is Balanced Life by Debbie /YouTube, and just subscribe, email me. My email address is right there. It's a little thing that you click onto and say, hi, my name is, please enter me in the contest. I am giving away these sessions that really, really help navigate these times. So you want to be part of this contest. And I want to thank you for joining us today. And I want to tell you to keep going and finding those conversations that connect to a healthier you. Bye, everybody. See you in 2 weeks. Thank you, Stephan.
Thank you, Debbie. Pleasure.